President Feaster, Trustee Basket.
Yes.
We have a quorum.
Trustee Feaster is running a little bit behind, so I'll be presiding over the meeting until he arrives. Okay? So trustees, if you could please review the agenda. There have been a couple of changes. One, the land acknowledgement has been added to the agenda. There is also an item moving the closed session to occur as a recess following the consent agenda. And then there's addition of the superintendent update. Okay. Motion to approve the agenda?
Can we just review it for 1 second?
Right.
Just change it in the minutes. So in the item where it says number 7, where it says new category, that's just not anything? Okay, just want to clarify so that the numbers are going to roll. Okay.
Yep. We good to go?
So just to clarify, what's posted on board doc is the revision?
She's updating the revision.
Okay. Oh, she's updating. Oh, okay. We have to refresh.
Mm-hmm.
Proposing an amendment, an addition to the agenda. I had the number worked out, but it's a different number now. I'm going to motion that we insert an item under board action, whatever letter B. This would be a motion to adopt a resolution calling for the Michigan lawmakers to undo the cuts to fiscal year 25 budget and reinstate the mental health dollars. This is a resolution that I shared with all the trustees a couple of days ago. It's also verbatim the same trustee that was passed by the Michigan State Board of Education. So I request that be added.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second? Second by Trustee Mohammed.
Moved it.
Trustee
So who
Carroll.
moved so you're moving
To
the
make-
entire agenda with the amendments, including
Yes.
adding the action. Thank you.
Yes, correct. And that, I guess that would be, hold on,
It'll be
maybe
item.
9B. Maybe?
Yes, 9.
I
Yes. Correct. Because there'll be a recess after the one.
Okay. It's on.
I don't have your item added yet.
Okay. Yes.
So there are 2 board action items.
Yes.
I will put another category in that says recess. And then you'll come back and there'll be the other board action items.
Sure. I'm happy in either item.
Okay.
Okay, so the motion is to approve the agenda with the inclusion of the resolution, correct?
With the amendments that we discussed in the resolution.
Yes, all the
Correct.
changes were.
Yes.
Roger. Okay.
And we have a second.
We had Trustee Mohammed who second.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And discussion?
Trustee Biscuit.
I would challenge adding the resolution simply because it has not gone through a committee for discussion, review, and discussion. Bringing up resolutions at the board table without having a deeper understanding and intention just does not seem to be proper. I understand that it's assumed that because another board has approved it that we should, but again, this has not been reviewed by our governance committee.
Trustee Schmidt.
So when I think of the time that we spend at the board table and triaging what we need to be focused on, we are still trying to get together to set board goals, to set goals with our superintendent's evaluation, to set up the process by which we're going to be working with the entire community to set up district goals. I previously had shared information and I've passed out to the audience and have more copies available. The people that us as individuals can contact about this issue, the numbers are good. That to me, this does not seem like a good use of our time. We've seen motions come directly to the board table before, and they're from another body that they voted it, and so it's just we should vote it. And I think that they should generate out of this body through our normal process.
Trustee Mohammed.
So why I would support adding it, especially now, is because, first of all, the House, I think, is meeting only one time next week. So there is some urgency. This is a very important topic because we did get significant cuts to our mental health dollars, from our state legislation. So it is very important and timely to add more support to what the Michigan Board of Education passed. It's a resolution word for word that was passed from the Michigan State Board. So it is timely, and I don't believe it is a waste of time. And I understand that things go to committee, but governance and other committees haven't met for a long time, so we can't keep pushing back this important work. So it is adding support to this very important funding that we do need for our schools for mental health.
Trustee Carroll.
Yeah, I'll also add that I don't see why this would be controversial, to be honest. I mean, I think if we want to go ahead and call our legislators and the folks on your list, Trustee Schmidt, about advocating for this, imagine how much more powerful the call becomes when you say our local Board of Education also stood behind this. So it's one thing to come as an individual, but it's another thing to advocate as a board. And actually, resolutions is one of the few ways that a board can advocate and speak out so that others can say, this is what we believe in our community, rather than just call and say, I'm just one individual calling, because they wouldn't be able to differentiate that. So actually passing the resolution strengthens the ability for those who would call to lobby legislators to have something to say in addition to whatever personal anecdotal information they might have. So I definitely don't see this in conflict with what you're suggested and suggested at the last meeting, which is to distribute that list and call our legislators and lobby for more more funding for mental health supports. I just don't see how this is controversial and why this would take any more time than it needs to. We're saying that we care about mental health. We're saying that we need it funded. I just don't see what the issue would be with supporting something like this.
Trustee Biscuit.
Yeah, I disagree in thinking that our resolution will be more powerful than the voices of individual voters. It's expected that we would demand this, that we would want to do something more as a board. What legislators don't always expect are hearing the real stories from the real voters out there. Again, I'm challenging the way this is brought through, the fact that, again, it's somebody else's words, not our words. And I think that's what would be even more impactful. There's a difference between getting individual letters from people versus a template, a whole lot of template letters. And I see this as just being another case of the template letter. It's not controversial. I mean, I think everyone at this table would say that we support this, which is why I appreciate Trustee Schmidt making the time to give us the resources so that we can advocate individually as well as collectively as a community. But I just don't think, again, this is warranted at this time.
Trustee Carroll.
Yeah, just I understand that part of it, but as I said before in the past, like we tried to pass in March a resolution about identifying the literacy crisis, which another board the county commissioners also passed. And part of being a body and working together is trying to work with those other bodies to stand united as a community. So I don't see this as any different than that. We've been trying to get resolutions passed, and every time we've tried to pass them, there's been discussion about we're going to try to create a resolution committee. It's going to sit in some other committee, and that was 6 months ago. There is no other action than to bring it to the table. We don't need to talk about what resolutions are. We know what they are. And I really have to disagree with you in saying that this isn't in place of. This is in concert and collaboration with those anecdotal stories that we're talking. I'm not saying it's more or less effective. I'm saying the two together would have an overall effectiveness. I don't think they're competing with one another. Actually, I think very much the opposite, that they'd be assisting one another.
Trustee Schmidt.
So there's a pattern here, and we've watched it over the last, 9 months, where another body passes something, and then it's brought to us, sent to us by email, doesn't go through the process, sent to us by email, and brought before the board as we would vote on this. And one of them was a very controversial topic. The reading one was once again another body, which we didn't work with that body. As far as I know, we didn't work with that body to come up with that resolution. And this one, and I mean, it kind of negates this body, what we're doing. And so it's process. It's not that we're against it or that we're for it, but haven't we learned anything from how using our processes should be followed for a reason? And once again, here we are talking about a resolution, and I'm part of that talk, where we should be setting our sights and spending our time on the business of the district to make sure that we're setting goals, that we're evaluating our superintendent, setting up meetings to talk about that. And instead, another resolution comes that let's just derail from what we're supposed to be doing and talk about a resolution, because then we can say we did one. Symbolic, whether it's effective, I don't know. The other one that we sent, it didn't change the geopolitical situation because it came from us. And I just think that this is never going to end, that it'll just be resolution. We'll be spending our time with resolutions that are symbolic and don't really change anything.
Trustee Mohammed.
So I'm a little bit confused because this is talking about mental health and school safety dollars that was significantly cut from the budget. That is impacting our schools. And I know that I've reached out to state legislators. I know many people have. But this is one mechanism that a board can do, and this is part of our purview, is to advocate. And through advocacy, we pass resolutions to be able to push, for things that are impacting our schools. So I don't know. I mean, we can go back and forth for half an hour trying to decide why we need to, I hope not, but why we need to add an important resolution like this. It's timely because they are meeting. I think the House is only meeting once next week. So we really need to put some pressure because, the cut of the mental health and school safety dollars have significantly impacted our budget. And we need that money. So if any way, even if it's through a resolution for us to advocate as a board, I'm going to support it. And I think there is urgency. And as far as process, again, we have brought up resolutions that are important, such as the literacy crisis, such as other resolutions that were put aside, and we haven't even seen, the government. I know that we had a lot going on, in the spring and in the summer, but, I don't even see a governance meeting or committee meeting on our schedule to meet to talk about things like this. So I wouldn't want to delay it any further because, like I said, the House is meeting one time next week. So that's why, again, I'm going to support this.
Okay.
I just have a question.
Do you have some information that tells us that they're taking this up when they're in? Because that's not the information I'm being told when they come in the House.
All I know is this is a way for us to advocate before they meet,
Because
together.
to put the urgency comment in, I don't really think you have any valid information that this has anything to do with when they're coming in for a day. So, I don't know about the urgency on that.
So everyone has had 2 opportunities to speak passionately, either for or against passing the agenda with this motion. Ms. Ozinski?
Trustee Schmidt,
No?
Trustee Mohammed,
Yes.
Trustee Dupree,
Yes.
Trustee Caraharo,
Yes.
Trustee Bascap.
No.
Motion carries.
Okay. So next is introduction of the non-voting member of the board, Mrs. Jazz Park.
Good evening.
Next we have the land acknowledgement read by Trustee Caraharo, unless someone else wanted to read it. No? All right. Show is on, sir.
We acknowledge that the Ann Arbor Public School District occupies the ancestral, traditional, and contemporary lands of the Anishinaabe, Three Fires Confederacy, the Ottawa, Ojibwe, and Ottawame. The taking of this land was formalized in a process alien to Native cultures by the Treaty of Detroit in 1807. The Ann Arbor Public Schools recognizes that many other Native peoples lived on this land at different times, including the Fa, Sauk, Shawnee, Kickapoo, Miami, Musquetoon, and Cherokee, many of whom were forcibly removed from their homelands. Acknowledgement by itself is a small gesture and does not exist in the past or solely in a historical context. Colonialism is a current, ongoing process, and we understand our responsibility in educating students about our participation. We further recognize the ongoing relationship and dependence upon and respect for all living beings of earth, sky, and water. It is our responsibility to care for this land, and we honor with our deepest gratitude the Native people who have and will continue to steward it for generations.
Thank you so much. Next, we are up at public commentary. Mrs. Zinski, do we have any signups?
We have 4 this evening, so each person would get 4 minutes. Would you like to read the statement that's in the administrative section?
Yeah. Okay. So, board would like to remind everyone that individuals who have signed up for public commentary will have their name called and are given an opportunity to speak or have comments read by the members of our staff. Commenters will receive up to 4 minutes with a total of no more than 45 minutes allowed for public commentary. When your name is called, please come forward and speak at the microphone. To help you manage your time, a clock will be placed on the screen in front of you. We would like to remind everyone, last part is really important. We would like to remind everyone that public comments generally pertain to Ann Arbor Public School District matters. Comments about any individual or individuals are expressly prohibited. Also, please understand that board members do not respond to public comments, but we will listen carefully and follow up as appropriate. Mrs. Zinski.
Okay. First person signed up is Glenn Nelson.
Yeah, go ahead.
Are you all right?
My name is Glenn Nelson. I was a school board member for 13 years. I am representing Better Boards, Better Schools, which is an organization of citizens working to achieve a better school board through stronger leadership, transparency, and collaboration. The individuals whose names appear below support this statement. All have worked for many years to improve the public schools. We seek your action in this meeting to clarify and ensure that candidates and their supporters are welcome to distribute campaign literature on school grounds, as has been done for many years with civility and community support. This action is needed because board members and top administrators have recently supported a statement that such distribution is not allowed. When challenged on the legal issue, they shifted to citing a board-level policy that has never before been interpreted to preclude citizen campaigning outside of school buildings. We do not know who prepared the various statements or who directed their distribution. We do know board members and the superintendent have the authority and responsibility to draft, approve, and implement policy. Distribution of campaign literature on school grounds outside of buildings and not during school hours is a long-standing practice that contributes to democracy by, for example, increasing awareness of elections, including dates, issues, and candidates, and demonstrating with actions how democracy works, which is important for all to see, and especially so for students. The rationale for reversing this pro-democracy policy is flimsy, based solely on a new interpretation of the policy, as the actual underlying policy has not changed. Speaking as a former board member who participated in the writing and adoption of the policy, it was never intended to prohibit the distribution of political flyers on school grounds and has never been used for such purposes since its adoption in 2009 until this board and administration chose to do so. The situation is similar to the emergence of the $25 million financial disaster. In that case, board members failed to challenge or attend to administrative work despite obvious warning signs. We will soon know whether board members and the superintendent recognize the errors that are being made in this matter, which has undermined democracy in our community. Please take action tonight to preserve democratic discourse in our district. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is from Susan Bond.
Hello, my name is Susan Bond, and I wanted to talk to you about your paraeducators, myself included. This year, my building was seriously understaffed. We have 3 self-contained classrooms in our building, and only 1 paraeducator came back from last year to work in those rooms. I believe some of those positions have been filled by folks from agencies. I have nothing against these people. They are getting a job and money that they need however they can. My concern is that the district has to hire them through the agency because the district doesn't pay its paraeducators enough for these people to want to be hired through the district. You need to value us more and pay us what we're worth so you don't have to go through agencies to get the people that we so desperately need.
Thank you. Next is Lena Kaufman.
Hi, good evening. I have a very minor issue to bring up, but it has festered for 2 years, and I have tried to go through the appropriate ways through the board. And as we heard tonight, we need to follow board policy, but when things get stuck, I need to say something. Tonight, the board is going to be renewing its 2000 series policies. One of those, among those, is our mission. Currently, the mission states, the mission of the Ann Arbor Public Schools is to ensure each student realizes his or her aspirations with advancing the common good, etc. You'll note that it says his or her. Everywhere else in our district and most large companies have shifted over into using plural there so that it's more inclusive for all students, including those that don't identify as a he or a she. Same goes for staff. The simple change I suggested 2 years ago was to make it read instead, the mission of the Ann Arbor Public Schools is to ensure all students realize their individual aspirations while advancing the common good by creating a world-class system for innovative teaching and learning. The board secretary at the time said the change would not be brought to the whole board and instead would be sent to the bylaws committee, where it apparently died. I never got an explanation as to why this very simple change couldn't be made. Tonight, when you review the 2000 series, a very, very simple fix would be to pull this out and to correct this instead of kicking the can down the road for another year to another board to deal with. All the policies will be up for re-renewal next year anyway. So if this is something that you don't want to do, you can visit it next year, but why put it off for another year when it's already been stuck for 2 years? Thank you very much.
Thank you. And finally, Jeff Gaynor writes, I regret I have missed the last school board meeting and tonight's meeting as well. I have a serious bronchial infection that is severely limiting my activity. As I won't be present tonight, I wanted to take this opportunity to share my thoughts about the legal advice that was sent to board members and school board candidates that forbids people from passing out campaign literature on school grounds. I don't have a stake in the election, I am not running, and I have not endorsed any of the candidates, but I will always stand up on free speech grounds. The legal reasoning does not hold up, either the language in the Michigan Campaign Finance Act or to the board bylaw 1650. Candidates have freely passed out literature on curriculum nights in the past. This change of policy is more a political decision than a legal one. I strongly doubt this would survive a legal challenge. Plus, is this chilling effect one we want to promote? Board Policy 1080 already restricts in-school visits for trustees. Do we really want to shut out others on school grounds as well? I urge board members to have an open discussion about this tonight and take responsibility for accepting or changing this policy. And that concludes public commentary.
Thank you so much. We appreciate hearing from our community. The board would like to thank everyone who spoke and shared their comments tonight. We would like to note that all written comments are publicly available on board docs in the public commentary section of tonight's agenda. Ms. Parks, do we have any points of clarification?
The one detail to clarify is that this evening's under board action reauthorization for sunsetting the 2000 series isn't to actually reauthorize those policies this evening. It's simply to move the date that the committee has to review and revise those policies to our regular rhythm of June 30th, because the date was set a few months ago for it to be September, the end of September. And so it gives governance and the board as a whole more time to review and revise those policies.
I have a question.
Yeah. Dr. Carroll?
Is there a means by which this board would be able to just change that one statement outside of it going to committee?
So I know that actually, I believe it was the last exec, Trustee Dupree, Vice President Dupree actually talked about this policy in particular, in this, the language change of pronouns in particular, and being mindful of going through not just this series, but other documents that we have as well to make those language changes. And governance is coming up next week. I don't know if it's been added to the calendar just yet, but we did come up with a date. So I know it's going to governance next week. But to your question about, is there another way to go about just changing that specific reference? I can look into that.
Mm-hmm. And there's more than just one occurrence in this series.
Right.
I think I think just particularly because that's the actual mission statement. I think that's the reason why I'm just asking about the one. I mean, I get the rest of the would follow, but just as a show that we recognize folks who use they them pronouns, I think if you can discuss it in governance as just doing the one statement and then following up on the rest of the handbook or wherever it might exist, that'd be great.
Absolutely.
Thank
you. Okay. All right. So now we are at reports from association. Do we have any reports?
Yes, we have Mr. Fred Klein with the AAEA.
Every time. Good evening, trustees, Superintendent Parks, Ann Arbor Public Schools community. Glenn Nelson, it's good to see you again back in this room. My name is Fred Klein, and I am starting my 35th year with the Ann Arbor Public Schools. I'm an elementary school teacher by trade, now proudly serving as the president of the Ann Arbor Education Association, which is the union representing the professional teaching staff of the Ann Arbor Public Schools. So I just have a brief report for you tonight. One of the most joyful parts of my role is going out into buildings where I witness the wonderful things taking place in our Ann Arbor Public Schools classrooms. Kudos to the AAEA members that are making this magic happen every day. This, in spite of the disruption and chaos from the ongoing financial crisis. It should be no surprise that teacher morale is at an historic low. Our members have lost all trust in the district. As I say every time I'm here in front of you, if the district had just honored the financial assumptions put forward as part of your path to financial recovery from this crisis, it would have shown that you truly value and respect the work our members do for the students we serve in the Ann Arbor Public Schools. It would have been one step toward restored trust. Instead, we now have to go to the bargaining table for those assumed increases. Very disappointing. Secondly, I understand you are voting tonight on approving purchase of several new electric school buses. If this isn't already part of the discussion, I want to be sure it is acknowledged that with recent changes made by the Michigan legislature and governor, you can now use sinking fund money to purchase buses rather than dipping into the general fund. Please do not touch the general fund, the fund that provides our salary and benefits, if you vote to proceed with this purchase. Lastly, I want to bring your attention a disturbing rise in false student accusations against teachers. We have witnessed an increase in cases where students claim that a teacher hit, grabbed, or otherwise inappropriately redirected them. When this happens, the teacher is placed on administrative leave and an investigation occurs. If Child Protective Services is called, the police often get involved. During this process, the teacher is terrified of what may happen to their reputation and career. Their students are impacted as well by necessitating a substitute teacher for the duration of the investigation, which can take days and sometimes weeks. Obviously, and rightly, if an investigation finds a teacher acted inappropriately, there are consequences for that teacher. However, there are no consequences for the student when the investigation uncovers a false accusation. I believe there needs to be consequences for these students after the teacher has been cleared and returned to their classroom in order to discourage this behavior in the future. I'm asking you trustees to begin drafting board policy that establishes protocols for the children making these bogus claims against their teachers to prevent further disruptions and distress for both teachers and their classrooms. And I will end by thanking again our teachers, social workers, nurses, occupational therapists, school psychologists, counselors, and speech pathologists who make up the Ann Arbor Education Association. They, along with members of the other bargaining units, are the lifeblood of this district, and it is my honor to represent them. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Do we have any other associations?
No other reports.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I just want to clarify, and I just want to make sure I'm right on this. I believe the buses aren't coming out of the general fund. They're coming out of their grants.
Either bond.
The bond. So
Yeah.
they're not in the general fund. Well,
Bond.
they're coming
Bond.
from the bond, so they will
Capital
not be out of the
yeah,
general fund.
our capital programs fund.
All right. So we're here to here at committee report. Okay. So executive committee.
Yeah. So, yeah, I know that you weren't able to make that
I-
meeting. So basically, we went, I don't have notes. I know Trustee Feaster has those. We basically reviewed and set the agenda for tonight's meeting. So you will see in front of you what that agenda looks like. Considered some of the other things that trustees have offered and just trying to figure out when it would make sense to do some of those things. One of them, I believe, was the staff report, which usually comes in at December. I think Superintendent Parks, you had said. So we're trying to get back in our schedule of when these things are done. So as you can see the agenda, that's what we worked on. So it's here to be followed this evening. Yeah.
Trustee Basquiat.
No, I'm sorry, if you're done, Trustee Schmidt. I know it's not on the agenda. An oversight on my part as chair of the bond committee, but I'd like to give a little report, if I may.
We just add it, right?
Sorry?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the bond committee will meet again this Friday at 10 o'clock. Want to thank the community for participating in what we call the community engagement sessions. This past week, there was one at Dickin, which was very well attended, very impressive. We had a smaller group, but still committed at Lakewood, and we're looking forward to meeting with other communities, Slauson and Lawton. I am always surprised by very similar concerns of the community, no matter where you go. And I want to commend the staff, the bond team for addressing the questions and being very patient with all of us as we continue to learn what has been said and to be said. I want to refer everyone to a2schoolsbonds.org. That is where you will find the bulk of the information, including how we got to the decision of making a wonderful learning environments for the 21st century student. We're very consistent in meeting that. And so, again, wanted to thank everyone for participating and welcoming everyone to attend the future sessions. Would like to thank Trustee Carrera for being there last night at Lakewood. And again, I'm looking forward to hearing from our community as we move forward. It is a very exciting time, and I want to thank the community for supporting this bond. This is a big move. And again, I'm always surprised by people who just can't get over that, yes, we are building new buildings. And this is an exciting time for everybody to be on board. So thank you, Madam Chair, for allowing me to speak.
Absolutely.
Can I ask you,
Yes, of course.
at that site, is that where people can see, do they have the schedule up yet for all the engagements coming up? You know?
We have that posted somewhere. I'm sorry, I looked
Okay,
today,
all right.
but I was looking at more at specific schools.
Okay, I'll look for it, maybe
So,
make a comment at the
yes.
end on board comments.
Yes, we
I
will.
have it, but
I'm sorry, there are, our team says
They
yes,
are.
they are there.
Okay.
I just must have been on
Thank you.
the wrong page. When people go to the site, which again is very thorough, they get to click in a school, and you will see the work that's been done recently, the history of the school, and where appropriate, the schematic, I think is what we call it, team, of the proposed building. So again, it's very exciting. I do refer folks that if you have a concern regarding your particular meeting, please talk to your principal first. I mean, he or she will be able to direct you as well as refer questions up to us at the board level. But chances are the principals have been there and have been part of the discussions with the bond team. And so they'll probably know answers that you would be surprised. So thank you. Thank you, Trustee Schmidt, for your question.
Thank you. Okay, so we have no other report. Good to go. Okay, so next we are at our information section. We'll start with the superintendent update.
Thank you, Vice President Dupree. We just have a few items on the superintendent's report today, so thank you for the opportunity to just update about or speak to a couple of items. We're grateful to see students and staff and our families settled into school routines pretty much at this point, learning and growing together in our classrooms and in our schools. Our students and staff are preparing for the fall activities that we are typically used to, like curriculum nights and other fall extracurricular and athletic enrichment activities and special events. And so we look forward to sharing more details and highlighting more events as we go throughout the fall. Today, we would also like to recognize Patriot Day, a national day of service and remembrance to honor the nearly 3,000 people who lost their lives in the terrorist attacks on September 11th of 2001. We also take this time to honor the heroism of first responders and other individuals who portrayed extraordinary acts of courage and sacrifice. We would also like to take a moment to mourn with the students, educators, and families of Winder, Georgia, who lost children and teachers last week. And we grieve with all of those who have lost loved ones as a result of this tragedy and other tragedies related to gun violence in our schools. As we wrap up the third week of school and the first 5-day full week of school of this school year, our school teams, our pupil enrollment office, and our leadership team continue to monitor our enrollment, and we will continue to make contact with those families of students who have not yet attended school to gauge their intentions. So our office professionals continue to make those contacts daily, and as we settle enrollment, we also settle class sizes and make those adjustments as necessary as well. And lastly, trustees and community, we would like to take the time to congratulate the 51 students who have been named semifinalists in the 2025 National Merit Scholarship Program. This year, Ann Arbor Public Schools accounts for 10% of approximately 500 students in Michigan selected for this honor. To become a finalist, the semifinalist in their high school must submit a detailed scholarship application. They provide information about the academic record of the semifinalists, participation in school and community activities, and demonstrated leadership abilities, employment, honors, and awards received. A semifinalist must have an outstanding academic record throughout high school, be endorsed and recommended by a high school official, and write an essay as well as earn SAT scores that confirm the student's earlier performance on the qualifying test. So we have students at all of our high schools, Community, Huron, Pioneer, Skyline, who have been named semifinalists, and again, we congratulate them, our 51 students. And that concludes the superintendent's report this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Park. Next, we have the review of the summer 2024 purchasing and hiring authority.
Thank you again, Vice President Dupree. There were no applicable purchases or hiring completed pertaining to this authorization this summer, so we just wanted to formally close out this particular item.
And next, we have the special education millage renewal.
Thank you very much. So this November, the Washtenaw Intermediate School District will have a special education millage renewal on the ballot on behalf of the 9 public school districts in Washtenaw County, and we want to share some information about that renewal proposal. So to that end, our Assistant Superintendent of Special Education, Concetta Lewis, and our Superintendent of the Washtenaw Intermediate School District, Naomi Norman, are here to share some information with us.
Good evening, trustees. Our hope tonight is to share some information with you so that as you are out and about in the community, you have the information that you need to be able to answer any questions that community members might have. So we're here because there is a millage up for renewal through the Washtenaw Intermediate School District, and it will be on the November 5th ballot. So this proposal is asking, is asking for a renewal on an existing 2.3826 mil that would cover unreimbursed costs for special education services for 12 years, starting in 2026. So we have a millage currently that is set to expire in 2025. This renewal is not a new tax. It would not be any additional financial burden on residents, and every public school in Washtenaw County will benefit from this renewal. You might wonder, how does this impact us? Who's impacted? Across Washtenaw County, more than 6,000 students, so 1 in 7 students within our entire county, are eligible for special education services, plus an additional students ages birth to 3. So Michigan is a unique state where we provide services for students from age birth through age 26. Most states are age 3 to 21, so we are special in that. For Ann Arbor specifically, this means that 1 in 8 students in Ann Arbor Public Schools is eligible for special education, approximately 2,300 students. And in the 22-23 school year, Ann Arbor Public Schools received $40 million in revenue from this particular millage. If this millage is not renewed, that would be, our district would be underfunded by that amount of $40 million. So the non-renewal would have a significant impact, not only on special education services, because those services are required by law to provide. No matter whether we get that money or not, we still have to provide these services. So that means that we would have to make some adjustments from a general fund perspective in how we are supporting our students who are eligible for special education.
Can I clarify one thing?
Yes, that's why she's here.
Right. Hey, welcome.
Ann Arbor receives 40 million total,
Yes.
and this particular millage, the 2.3 sum, is actually about 26 million of that 40 million. We have 2 different buckets that we have in terms of our taxes, and only half of it, a little bit more than half, is being renewed right now.
That's right. Keep
Yeah, and the
honest.
remainder, it won't come up for renewal because it was passed before 1996, and so it's indefinite.
Thank you. And then why do we need this? Although these services are required by law through the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, even though Congress has said, made a commitment to quote unquote fully fund special education, and even by the term fully fund, what they mean is 40% of the cost of special education. And since its inception, they have not gotten above, I think right now we are at about 13 or 14% from the federal government for the cost. And so then that bears the burden of the remainder of those required expenses on the state and local districts to provide for students. And so in addition to the IDA funds, the state reimburses a portion of the funds, about 28.6%. And then this millage would help to shore up the rest of it so that, again, the remaining 63%, 61% is approximately what the millage would cover of those remaining funds. So this is really a unique opportunity, I'll say, for Washtenaw County. Across the state of Michigan, most ISDs do not fund or support or invest in special education in this way. So this is a good thing for our county. I'm not supposed to say that, pardon me, but this helps to fund our county. They gonna take this mic, excuse me. All right, benefits for all students. So again, as I stated, this is beneficial for all students because again, these funds are dedicated for supporting students that are eligible for special education. But if we don't have these funds, then that means that we have to have funds from the general fund, which would impact special education students. The other thing about this is when we think about who receives special education in Michigan, the majority of our students that receive special education are sitting in gen ed classes for the majority of their school day. So the benefit of some of the services and supports when we have our inclusion model, these things are benefits that all students in that space, if we have 2 teachers in that room, then every student in that classroom is benefiting from having 2 adults in that space. So again, this benefits all students when we're able to continue to have this funding to support our district. And I think we can advance, I'm sorry. There we go, yep. When we look at what eligibility categories specifically for special education, Michigan has 13 different categories. And so again, students that fall within that continuum meet the criteria for eligibility and would be eligible for funding. Who would this millage support? Again, the majority of our students are in general education. The majority of our students either have a specific learning disability or speech and language impairment. A small number of our students have more significant disabilities, but again, the majority of our students are within the average range or above average range of cognitive functioning. And so again, this serves to benefit a great number of our students. What services does the millage support? It supports the full continuum of special education programs and services, again, from age birth through post-secondary. So students that are age 18 to 26 continue to receive services with how to live a productive life after the age of 18. So even those students that have very significant disabilities, we continue to provide them with support and guidance and nurturing as they move through their adult years and help them understand how to navigate adult life. All right. And
yeah, I just want to add something. When you ask the question, who does it benefit? You know, if it weren't passed, I mean, we know it benefits because we don't have to take money out of our general fund. Because if it doesn't get passed, we do, and that has a negative impact on all students. I mean, it has to come from somewhere. So, you know, and when our special ed students are supported in the general classroom, it makes for a more productive classroom for every student. They may have a para with them, but that just makes the whole thing work more harmoniously. The teacher can teach, students can learn. So supporting special ed students is good for an entire community. And that's what this money is. And you're allowed to say it's good. There's nothing wrong with that. You just don't tell people how to vote.
That is
if
true.
You can keep
That
saying
is
it's
true.
good.
It is good, and it has been very good for our district. What type of staff would this millage help us to have in our district? Every staff member that supports special education, right? So this allows us to hire special education teachers, paraeducators, teacher consultants, our ancillary staff, social workers, school psychologists, speech and language therapists, So it really does ensure that we have not only the staff, but even some of the structures and field trips and supplies and things that we need to be able to run our programs in an effective way. And why now? Because, as Naomi talked about, there are previously 2 approved millages, both expire in 2025, and this renewal, again, would combine those 2 into one operating millage, and this would be for 12 years. So that would, it would come up for renewal again, but not for 12 years. Now, you might be wondering, how much is this going to cost me? I hear what you're saying, but how much will this cost me? And if you look at this chart, I will go to the middle ground where we have the taxable home value, which is very different from the actual value of the home. So the taxable value is $100,000. On a monthly basis, that is approximately $19.86. That's what the current cost would be. With this renewal, there would be no increase or change based on this millage renewal. So there would be no impact from a cost perspective for those homeowners in Washtenaw County. And again, we've talked about it, and Naomi talked about, so if this is not renewed, this is where that estimated 25.8 million, because again, there's that portion that we will continue to get no matter what. But if this is not renewed, we would have to find a way to fund approximately $26 million in costs for our district. And when is the election? Tuesday, November 5th. And we're getting the word out early because there's early voting. Some people are voting absentee. So we want to make sure that folks understand that this information will be on the ballot. And it's important to remember that it might, because there's a lot coming on our November ballot, you might have to flip your ballot over to find this particular issue. And anyone who lives in these localities in Washtenaw County are eligible to vote for this particular millage. Questions you have?
Trustee Biscuit?
I don't have a question. I just wanted to give another testimonial. We hear from people often that, well, I don't have children in the schools. I shouldn't have to pay taxes for the children, other people's children. But I will say, you never know when those services are coming to your family. A few months ago, we were blessed with a set of twins, and we were very excited in our family to have new babies. Not my twins, other people's twins. But we were also surprised that one of the twins was born with Down syndrome. And I was very, very excited and pleased to see that almost immediately once they came home from the hospital, the schools were there with resources. I mean, it meant a lot. First, again, the surprise, the overwhelming responsibility of taking care of twins as well as the other children. Well, this mom, my niece, had somebody there to talk her through things that, are happening now and what to expect in the future. The other twins seem to be thriving, so that's great, but, how do you work with both twins? So just wanted to say, you never know when you'll need these services. And so it's a matter of paying now to pay in for the common good. And, I know we're all kind of stressed, but as you mentioned, this is not an increase. This is just a continuum of what we've been paying. So I hope the community does support us. Thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions or comments? Trustee Carrero?
Yeah, just a comment, really. I'm glad that you brought up the fact that, of course, the age 25, up until they're age 25, because even as, students might exit our district, they still need those supports beyond work at the community college. So I know that there are students there who still use those services and still need us. So there's actually a moral responsibility here that when they exit our doors and meet the credentialed requirements to get out of here, that they also have the life skills, the transportation, and the other ways to get there. I have a pretty good feeling about how the community will respond to the millage, and I think we definitely. Thank you for coming and showing it and giving us a way to talk about it.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, one last question.
Yes.
So, if I may. So how can we as individuals help support the cause? What do you need?
Let your neighbors know that this is on the ballot and encourage them to vote.
Will you be distributing literature or doing ads?
Yes, so there is literature available in all of our school buildings. Principals also have this information to share during curriculum nights with families. In terms of, from the ISD perspective, I will step aside and let Naomi come and talk about that.
We have a lot of information campaign resources that you can use that does not say how to vote, just what this is about. We know that when voters know what this is and understand it, that's really important. We have all the flyers, the resources. We're going to do 3 information nights, so if people are welcome from the community, come do those. That is, those would be on our website. They'll also be in MLive and all the regular places on social media for folks if they'd like to come, both Zoom and in person. We'll also have yard signs if you want to support in that way. I know a lot of families in Ann Arbor like to show and have conversations in their front yards, so that will also be available if that would be helpful.
And where will those signs be available?
I will have to turn to your folks here
Oh, okay.
to let you know. They will be coming into the district. Again, they don't say anything about how to vote. They just say that the millage is on the ballot for November.
Yeah.
And it has one of those things you can scan it and get more information.
Those signs are a part of the literature that was referenced that are in our schools, that will be available at the school.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate it all. If I can make one quick comment, I know Trustee Beskett brought up the fact that there are some folks who are unsure for voting on something like this because they may not have kids in the district or may not see how they are directly impacted. But always keep in mind that nothing happens in a silo. What affects one part of a system affects another. So understand that this money is going to make it so that we don't have to dip into other places, as was mentioned before, so that we're able to support students. And I know one of the categories that were up there as far as eligibility was OHI, which is otherwise health impaired. And sometimes it's a little cloudy as to what falls under that. So if you can give us some clarification on something that students may be eligible for under OHI.
That is a great point, and Superintendent Parks and I had a conversation earlier this week about invisible disabilities. So oftentimes there are individuals who might have any sort of health condition. It could be attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. It could be asthma. There are all sorts of health conditions that could potentially mean that a student might qualify for special education services. So I just want to remind folks that it's not always just the disabilities that you can see, but oftentimes there are the unseen disabilities, even again, students with a learning disability or speech and language impairment. You just might not be able to see that by looking at a student.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you all. Sorry for my tardiness. This is the latest I've ever been in court in my life. Apologies. I believe we are down to the second briefing. I'll turn it over to Superintendent Parks.
Thank you very much, President Feaster. We have, first up, we received last meeting a first briefing on the AP Psychology textbook purchase recommendation. And there I have Ms. Linden and Dr. Alman here to discuss whether or not there have been any changes or updates since the last briefing.
There are no updates at this time. The plan has been revealed.
All right, stay there, Ms. Linden. Next, we have the AP Physics textbook purchase recommendation, which I believe there are no changes either.
You are correct, no change.
All right, thank you. Okay, we have the capital programs representatives coming forward with the next couple of items. First being the capital program construction management services recommendation. Mr. Rice, were there any changes or updates since first briefing?
No, there's not.
Okay. We also have the 2024 electric school bus purchase recommendation. Any changes to that one?
There's not.
Okay. And last one, the resolution to approve the utility easement on Nixon Road.
There's not.
No change. All right. Any
Thank you.
questions, trustees? Okay. In the last under second briefing, we have what we shared last meeting. In first briefing, the required sexual harassment and sexual assault information guide and Title IX information added as an appendix to the Rights and Responsibilities Handbook. No changes there either.
All right. Thank you, Superintendent Parks. I believe that moves us down to the consent agenda.
So moved.
I
Do
would
you want
like
to read
the
it, please?
items.
Ms. Olszewski?
I always do that.
No problem.
You look at me like I'm supposed to, come on, somebody. Sorry about that.
One day I'll get in there
I
first.
appreciate your eagerness.
I'll read the items. Approve Annex AN-2174 AP Psychology Textbook Purchase and Recommendation. Approve Annex AN-2175 AP Physics Textbook Purchase Recommendation. Approve Annex AN-2176 Capital Program Construction Management Services Recommendation. Approve Annex AN-2177 2024 Electric School Bus Purchase Recommendation. Adopt the resolution to approve utility easement on Nixon Road. Adopt sexual harassment and sexual assault information guide and Title IX information as appendices to the Rights and Responsibilities Handbook. Approve minutes of the August 28th, 2024 regular meeting. Approve donations, which were from the U of M Rackham Graduate School, who donated various art and school supplies, notebooks, wooden easel stands, canvases, paints, paintbrushes, and glitter, distributed district-wide. From Ernesto Carajero, who donated 2 basketball rims and hoops to Carpenter Elementary School. And Paula Berg donated a half-size cello to the Clegg Middle School music program.
Thank you, Ms. Olszewski. Yes, Trustee Carahero?
I'd like to request to remove the minutes for the August 28th meeting.
All right. The minutes have been removed. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda minus the minutes from the last meeting? Now I'm looking at you, Trustee Schmidt.
Not motion.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Trustee Dupree. Is there support? Support by Trustee Muhammad. Any discussion? All right, Ms. Olszewski.
Okay. Trustee Schmidt?
No.
And this is for the entire consent agenda.
Right, removing G.
Removing G.
G is already removed. I think if one person
No.
asks for something to be
Right,
removed,
is that right?
it's
Yes, thank
automatically
you.
removed.
Thank you, yes, I'm good.
Yes. So your vote is yes?
Yes?
The consent agenda minus G. Trustee Muhammad?
Yes.
Trustee Dupree?
Yes.
Trustee Carahero?
Yes.
Trustee Basket?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I needed to add you back in.
No problem.
Sorry.
Struggling.
That's all right. Now I believe we're down to addressing the item that was removed by Trustee Carahero, which is the approval of the minutes of the August 28th, 2024 regular meeting. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
Motion to approve.
Moved by Trustee Dupree. Is there support? Support by Trustee Schmidt. Any discussion? All right. Ms. Olszewski.
Trustee Schmidt?
Yes?
Trustee Muhammad?
No.
Trustee Dupree?
Yes.
Trustee Carahero?
No.
President Feaster?
Yes.
Trustee Basket?
Yes.
Motion carries.
I believe that brings us down to number 8, board action.
Yeah, I move that we recess to closed session to hear some information from legal counsel.
Been moved by Trustee Schmidt. There's support.
Second.
Support by Trustee Dupree. Any discussion? Seeing none. Ms. Olszewski, please.
Trustee Schmidt?
Yes?
Trustee Muhammad?
Yes.
Trustee Dupree?
Yes.
Trustee Carahero?
Yes.
President Feaster?
Yes.
Trustee Basket?
Yes.
Motion carries.
So we stop there and we will resume our regular meeting.
Recessed at 8:14.
Thank you.
Ready to do the second?
are.
Yeah, yeah. Thank the Lord. Everybody ready?
Yeah.
Right. We will resume the meeting. It is now 9:53 p.m. We've taken our recess for our closed session. Now we will resume and move down to number 11, which is board action. I believe we are at item A, reauthorize sunsetting of 2000 administration series policies for to June 30th, 2025.
So moved?
Moved by trustee Schmidt. Their support. Support by trustee Muhammad. My notes, please. All right. Any discussion? Trustee Schmidt?
So I think that Superintendent Parks explained that this, we're not voting on this tonight. This is more just sunsetting, putting the date farther out on our normal routine.
Correct.
So that changes can be made. I did hear, though, what Ms. Kaufman said, and I do hope that the governance committee, when they get it, that there's a whole list of stuff, but I hope you push it up towards the top, at least the pronouns thing, and across the board.
Thank you, trustee Schmidt. Trustee Dupree?
Yeah, I think that's how we actually ended up having this September date, because I remember we brought it up before, and I asked that we change those pronouns to make them more gender inclusive, and I remember kind of reading them out then. And I think that's how we ended up getting it here instead of doing it back in June when we were supposed to. So I know that there was also a request that, at least for our mission statement, that we kind of fast track at least that part and get that kind of cleaned up and approved so we can have it so that when it reads, it's more gender neutral. Reading is there instead of he,
Trustee Basket?
Just wanted to remind the board, this is not anything new. I mean, we had discussed this way back when I believe it was trustee Kelly had enlightened me of the need and how they do it in the legal world. So this should be a quick, easy fix. I don't want to jinx it, but I mean, we've discussed this before.
Okay. So is there any other discussion before we vote to reauthorize? Seeing none, Ms. Ozinski, please.
Trustee Schmidt?
Yes.
Trustee Muhammad?
Yes.
Trustee Dupree?
Yes.
Trustee Caraharo?
Yes.
President Feaster?
Yes.
Trustee Basket?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. We are now down to item B, motion to adopt a resolution calling for a supplemental budget to be restored for mental health. Trustee Carroll?
I moved to move it, but I did want to open a little chance because you weren't here in the beginning of the meeting to have a little discussion about the motion. This is a motion that I shared earlier last week or maybe a few days ago even. But it is verbatim what the Michigan State Board of Education passed in, I think it was August 13th or something. And then Trustee Mohammed discussed that next Wednesday will be the only session that they will meet. So if they were to act on it, likely or unlikely, it would have to be at that time. So there is maybe it's not an urgency, but there's definitely a timeliness around this. So that's why I wanted to bring it up, knowing that session would only take one place. But I'm free to discuss it a little further. I would like to motion that we accept it.
I guess I have a couple questions.
Sure.
Was there a motion and a second? Yeah, I didn't think. Okay, go for it.
So it was moved by Trustee Caraharo, supported by Trustee Muhammad.
Sure.
Let me just write that. Okay, I guess my question is, this is a timely thing. It's something that obviously is important.
Yeah.
We also have the two other resolutions that I can recall that we also need to address.
Yeah.
The gun safety and the literacy. So this kind of falls in line with those.
It falls in little line. The only difference I would say here is that although in the previous ones other bodies did do that one, they weren't education bodies. The ones that the one body that did pass this is the State Board of Education for Michigan. So I mean, my thing is we're here to uplift them. We're here to uplift other education motives, and especially for one advocacies, and especially one around mental health. I think for me, it's just a way for us to speak as one to support mental health support. It is both, I mean, I say mental health, but it is for mental health and safety. It was the original budget, but I think the greater concern is around making sure that there's enough mental health funding. So just, most know it's like $300 million originally that was cut. It was a one-time deal, and it was cut for this budget. So it's just an ask and awareness to let folks know that there's missing funds for mental health, and we'd like to get it put back.
I mean, that's huge, and I definitely understand that issue, and you know how big that is to our budget and all budgets. Obviously, I have similar concerns that I have to the literacy and the gun safety.
Sure.
Trustee Dupree's been trying to get a resolution committee for forever.
Sure.
We've had, in my opinion, some controversial history around resolutions.
Sure.
So I still have my reservations about resolutions until we figure out what we're doing. Trustee Dupree's request. So that's where I kind of stand on it. But I definitely understand the need and the urgency behind it.
Yeah, we did have a little discussion just earlier about, and I kind of made the point that this wouldn't be in contradiction to any other advocacies, but in concert with. So to me, although we might have some reservations, even as a whole board, about resolutions. Unfortunately, I think resolutions are the one thing that we can do to act together. So if we don't do this to say something about mental health, you know, what else is there available for us to say other than we care about mental health? So to me, that's a way for the board to speak, you know, as one. I don't doubt anybody's commitment or desire to have mental health, and this is one way for us, although we might disagree on a wide range of issues. I don't think this is one that we disagree in terms of funding for mental health.
Obviously, yeah. Trustee Schmidt, then Trustee Muhammad.
No.
Was it Basket first?
Not me.
Okay, then Basket, then Muhammad.
Go ahead. I'll wait.
Trustee Muhammad.
Okay, I think what I brought up earlier, and I know President Feaster, you weren't here, but and as Trustee Carahara said, the reason why this felt more urgent is because the House is meeting one time. And hopefully they will talk about, we don't know. I mean, hopefully this will put more pressure to talk about the school budget and adding these funds. But they're meeting once next week. So I understand, like, I know there was talks about resolution committee. There was talks about, you know, hopefully getting some of these other resolutions like gun safety is very important, literacy crisis. I know they've been put on hold for a little bit, but they shouldn't. I mean, these are urgent matters as well. But because I didn't know that there was going to be a governance committee coming up, which again, even if they meet on Monday, this really had to go out like soon, because even by Monday it has to come back to us, and the House would have already met. So that's why I would support this, is because of just the time frame of when this is coming and when the House is meeting. And if it wasn't word for word for what the Michigan Board of Education has already put out, like, you know, that's why it seems like this is like an easy thing. It's not controversial. It's not anything where we have to wordsmith things. So yeah, there is. And then of course, you know, I'm not very, it's not great to have that huge cut in funds. I mean, it's a it's a significant loss for our district. So if there's any way that as a board we can advocate for this strongly, I think it would send a strong message. And of course, we're all advocating individually as well. I know I have as well. So
And to that point, we could all send emails to our legislators. We could all do, you know, things of that nature too. But I do understand your point. This is the way the board can speak together on this issue. But I think you also have to understand why we might be a little hesitant given our recent history of resolutions.
Sure.
Trustee Dupree? Trustee Dupree?
Part of the challenge I have with this is these aren't our words. Usually stronger resolutions come out of discussions and understanding, and yes, it may be tedious about the wordsmithing, but they'll be our words. Again, I'm not negating the need for the money, obviously. We also need the people too. But, you know, they're just words are what we're doing. There are other things we could be doing. Okay? But we seem to adopt or get somebody else's resolution and then it comes to the table, and it's forced upon us because there's always some urgency. We've known about the budget issues for quite a while, and now there's an urgency to pass this resolution. I'm also concerned about the process. We have a governance committee, okay? And if there was a real concern, bring it to the governance committee, let the governance make the recommendation, but just to pick up a resolution from somebody else, plop it on our table, say that we support it because, but they're not our words. And again, I still say that it's more impactful when they're our words, when we can include testimonies from our people to really understand our need. Right now, they're just words. And of course, why wouldn't a school board adopt it? If I was the person being affected in terms of legislation, of course you would expect the resolution, but whatever. We haven't heard from the voters.
That's it, Free.
Okay, so a couple of things. I think we already touched on the fact that the board speaks in only a couple of ways. We speak with our vote, we speak with through resolutions and policy. That's just what we particularly given the past 3-4 years where we have seen how different community situations, global situations have affected our student body and, different families in our district, how some mental health crises have actually been exacerbated. Us using our voice just to advocate, just to say, hey, you know what, we feel like this was, we need to have a budget that includes this support, and cutting it is not beneficial to us in our community. I don't see how that's wrong, right? And I understand that we're working on kind of adjusting processes, meaning being able to get a resolutions committee and kind of be a little bit more structured in a way that we handle these resolutions, particularly considering the one that we had that had us in the news for like a month. So, I understand that. With that, the fact that it has already somewhat been vetted when we're considering the fact that it went through our state school board, and even looking at the language is very straightforward. It's cut and dry. It's not anything controversial at all in it. It just really just goes over the budget and what we would like to see. So we're collectively using our voices to advocate for them. So I'm just not really seeing how that's too much of an issue in this regard, right? So I understand the one on gun safety is rather controversial, even though we kind of led the way, at least the district did. I was fortunate enough to be on the board when you guys led the way with that.
But I don't think that was a resolution, right? That was a lawsuit.
No, that was a lawsuit.
Yeah.
And so, led the way there. Yes, other resolutions have come across our email that is far more controversial. This is pretty much straightforward. And like I said, it's essentially already been vetted because it came through another board. So that's just how I kind of look at it.
So I look back at the history since I've been on this board, and I saw board members that tried to get us to pass a resolution about a facility that I think was for students that had mental health issues. That was like residential kind of. And,
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
like, we should do this. There was really no talk with each other or anything. And then I think it ended up that a few board members said, well, we're just going to sign a letter.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
there was something else dealing with the Middle East, and I just can't remember it, that a couple of our board members decided, well, if you guys don't want to sign on, we'll just do our own letter. And then the resolution started. And one resolution came from a county commission. I think one resolution came from somebody that spoke at public comment, and I don't know the genesis of its evolution. None of them have originated from this body of us saying, this matters to us. Let's talk about it. Let's decide what is important in this resolution if we're going to do a resolution. And then let's all be invested in it. And we should have it passed unanimously because we've all been a part of it. And to me, it's a process thing. I don't think, like everybody has said here, we all want this money to be given back to us. I understand from talking to Senator Irwin's office, the feds cut the state with some of this money. So it's not just the state giving it to us. I also know that what I understand is that the Speaker of the House has said he doesn't want any committees to run until Election Day, after Election Day, into lame duck. So the urgency thing just doesn't float with me, knowing what the tenor is in the legislature right now. So process, though, is the reason I won't support it. Not because I'm already making my calls and doing what I got to do. And if somebody wants to join me and we'll send a letter together, I don't think it has any more impact. But I would recommend to the public, just on a side note, making calls is probably the most effective thing you can do. And if you can get 50 people to call one office and jam up their voicemail, it really stops business. I'm just telling you, that's the way it works. And so, but I won't support this. I support everything that I'm advocating for here, but I just think this is just, we got to get out of this routine and decide how are we as a body going to decide we're going to speak, rather than just borrowing everybody else's resolutions and saying, okay, now I want to do it. Just my own personal opinion.
That's Mom.
So just to clarify, do you remember there were some resolutions that we passed as a board together? One was the social worker one. So there are resolutions that we worked on. I don't believe that, we just, so there's a social work, there's the land.
It was just brought.
But it was brought and we supported it. It was pretty straightforward. Same thing, the land acknowledgements, it wasn't, I don't think that was a resolution. But there are things that, we definitely, work together. And I think even with the controversial, supposedly resolution, we worked on it at the table. And we fine tuned it and we still, supported it as a board. But I still think that, this is, as Vice President Dupree said, this is pretty straightforward. It's just saying we really need the funds. And the Michigan State Board of Education already passed this resolution and sent it forward. It's just another way to put pressure. And I believe that it is stronger when it's coming from a board body versus, again, I think we have to hit it from all different ways. Advocacy individually, from the public, but, I just wanted to clarify, but I do feel that, even though this is not in our exact words, we can change it here if we really want to, but I think it's already vetted. So.
And that was gonna, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead and follow.
That was actually gonna be the thing I suggested, because it's so short and so straightforward, if there were any need to make any adjustment, I'm not seeing why we couldn't do that. It's literally just saying the budget was passed, this is how much, funding was cut, and we believe that we need a supplemental budget. It is very, very straightforward.
Yeah, just a real quick comment, thank you. It's the reason why I didn't change the language. And the reason why I shared it and invited you, everybody, I think I invited first Trustee Muhammad and then Trustee Gaynor to weigh in a little bit to see, to initially start, because I wanted to start with a smaller group first. And then when they didn't have any suggestions after a few days, I brought it to the bigger group, a couple more days, 3-4 more days, suggestions, comments, just as viewers, so to make sure we're not crafting something out of our OMA Act, just to look at it. And then the idea would be for discussion. So it's not like you're seeing it for the first time today, and it's not like it's controversial. So I'm just failing to see how, if we have an inability to get together on this, we got a lot of trouble ahead of us because this is a totally non-controversial thing, and to the point where, no, we didn't draft it with our own words. I totally understand that, and resolutions we ought to draft with our own words so that we can own it a little bit. But in this particular case, given the history that we had trouble with resolutions, this is a step forward for us to be able to draft a resolution that nobody particularly owns. We just own the advocacy there as a board. Whether or not we agree about how to go about it, again, this isn't in competition with calling, it's in concert with. That folks would be able to consult. Not only do I have my personal anecdotal story, not only do I have this letter, but our community has spoken by our elected officials in a democratic process that we want that money back into the budget. And so I'm just having trouble seeing what the resistance is, other than the process. I totally understood that part of it. So, yeah.
Trustee Schmidt?
Okay, so what was just said was, I talked to these three, and then I put it out to the rest of the board members, and, not an OMO violation, but that's what I'm saying. This isn't done through emails. This is done in a committee that's a public meeting, and let that discussion happen. This shouldn't be, hey, what do you think? What do you think? I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Okay, now I'm going to just bring it. No, that's not how that goes. And it hasn't been vetted by anybody. I mean, it was sent to us in an email saying, I'm going to bring this forward at the board meeting. That's not vetting. And so, and it's not our language, and it's not our process, and it's, we're missing the point here that, that we need to tighten up a little bit on how we do these. And if this is in the first place, even the best use of our time, when I think of all the things we aren't doing, and I go back to last year, and I think that all the energy that was spent on everything around a resolution when we should have been handling our budget. And so, to me, the process is just out of whack.
Trustee Muhammad and Trustee Carahero?
So, again, we keep bringing up this supposedly resolution that took all our time where we should have been focused on budget, which is not really true. But this, we had again, an example of a social work resolution that came to the table. It was discussed and we passed it. It was pretty straightforward. I still don't understand why we are spending too much time going over process and all of this stuff when this was very straightforward. I didn't see, the reason why I was like, okay, well, I would support this and bringing it up now, because, I didn't see, we have resolutions that we have not even brought forward. I didn't see any governance committee meetings happening, or on the calendar until I found out today. So what would governance and sending it to committee, I feel like what would be the outcome if this was sent to governance and then to us, other than delay this further? Because there have been several resolutions that have been brought up that has not been even brought to governance yet.
I think the Trustee Carahero point and Trustee Schmidt's point, it would be something we crafted in our own words if we did that. And that's the difference that I think it would be, to answer your question.
Real quick, as far as the social work resolution, it was sent out to the board and there were adjustments made to it so that it better reflected our community rather than this kind of broad.
It was Trustee Carahero, then it was Trustee Baskin.
And so that's my point. That's the point. First, if you feel like you want to do some kind of advocacy in the board, you first start with just a few people. And you realize, if I have the support, or if I think that these few people want to bring it forward, I'll bring it to the group so that we can have a real discussion. Because in a pod of 2 or 3 people, you can't really do anything. But before you go to all 7 of us, you kind of have to have a little support. And that's what I did, right? So if there's a committee to do it or not, and you get the information through a committee or through an email, you still have the information. You can still weigh in on, hey, I'd like to change this whereas clause. I'd like to add that one in a comment without disrupting the document. And that's why that, to me, is the process, right? If you wanted to change a language, we could change it right now if you wanted. But again, because of our history of resolutions, I think it's probably a little bit safer for us to show that we can work together on words that aren't even ours, but still agree with the advocacy. That's what we're gaining by doing this, is that it doesn't have to be our words. Is it stronger if it's our words? Of course it is, but I'm pretty confident we're not ready for that yet. So for me, this is a way for us to get things moving in a direction where we can see the process through. We can do it differently next time. Given all the factors, this seems like a good no-brainer idea to me. Thank you.
And I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
And hopefully you can appreciate, after being on the board for 30 days and that's running into the resolution issues that we ran into when I got here, I'm a little hesitant on resolutions. And so I'm not really interested in doing something until we go through governance.
Sure.
Just because of the scar I'm still letting heal at this time off of the damage I felt that it caused to our district and our community. And so I'm hesitant on resolutions.
I understand.
I might be willing to sign off on a letter, might be willing to join people in an email, might be willing to make calls, but I'm a little hesitant on resolutions. Trustee Basket and then Trustee Schmidt.
Hopefully we can bring this to a close.
Yes.
We've heard some people repeat what they
Agreed.
said from the beginning. Process matters. Process matters. And, let's not pretend that it doesn't. It should matter to all of us, each of us, and it should matter to the community as well. So before I formally call the question,
I
I'd
don't
like
think you have to call it. I think we
thank you.
can-
I'd like to encourage us to, let's put the vote.
Yes.
I don't think there's any more conversations going to persuade anybody to change their position, so we can get moving.
Okay. I've said my piece. I hopefully have given everyone else a chance to say their piece. I think we're ready to have Ms. Ozinski do a roll call, please.
Trustee Schmidt?
No.
Trustee Muhammad?
Yes.
Trustee Dupree?
Yes.
Trustee Kier Harrell?
Yes.
President Feaster?
No, thank you.
Trustee Basket?
No.
Motion fails.
I believe we are down to C. Motion to hold a closed session on adjournment of the 9/25/24 regular meeting for the purpose of attorney-client privilege.
So moved.
Moved by Trustee Schmidt. Is there support? Support by Trustee Dupree. Any discussion?
What I understand about this is that this allows us to hear about some things that may be ready then, whether we have to use it or not, but we're already planning on it in case.
All right. I saw Trustee Muhammad first and Trustee Basket.
You know what? I think, never mind.
Okay.
I don't
Trustee Basket.
Given your circumstances today, President Feaster, this probably is a bad question, but is there a possibility of doing the closed session earlier, before the meeting? But again, I know your day is dependent upon the judge, so.
It's normally not like this.
Nothing is normal right now.
Today was a day.
Okay, all right. Well, I wanted to ask. Thank you. I was just trying to avoid these late evenings.
Understood.
Okay, thank you.
And maybe by the time we'll still have an executive committee meeting, we'll have a better sense if it needs to go at the very end,
Right.
or if we plunk it in the middle the way we did,
Fair.
or whatever.
Okay, fair. Okay, any other discussion? Seeing none, Ms. Osinski, please.
Trustee Schmidt?
Yes.
And Trustee Muhammad?
Yes.
Trustee Dupree?
Yes.
Trustee Kier Harrell?
Yes.
President Feaster?
Yes.
Trustee Basket?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Sorry, I believe that passed.
Yes.
Okay.
Motion carries.
Okay. I did not have the letter D on mine. I just refreshed. It looks like we have a motion to ratify the proposed settlement. Is there support? Oh, Trustee Carroll? Did you have support? Trustee Schmidt? Any discussion? All right. Seeing none. And this, do I have to give any detail? Okay. Ms. Osinski, please.
Trustee Schmidt?
Yes.
Trustee Muhammad?
Yes.
Trustee Dupree?
Yes.
Trustee Kier Harrell?
Yes.
President Feaster?
Yes.
Trustee Basket?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. And with that, I believe it brings us down to number 12, agenda planning. Trustees, are there any items for agenda planning? Trustee Basket?
Just want to review things that I brought to the past, but again, to help the executive committee remember, I think it would be very helpful to invite our legislators to talk about legislation. Maybe we can avoid some of these cookie cutter resolutions to have a better understanding. Also, it's a matter of developing relationships and collaborations. So again, I'd like to, for us to extend an invitation to our legislators to come forth. I would also like to have a discussion regarding AI and that group chats, and everything else we need to know in terms of the cyber world.
Okay.
I think it would be helpful for us as adults to know what's going on, and us as board members, because I'm sure the teachers are exposed to a lot of stuff that we're not aware of.
Yeah, I just have one, which is to get a performance report, performance meeting going around the M-STEP scores. Around the M-STEP scores, to get a presentation about the breakdown demographic and the trends over the years, and any action steps we may be thinking about.
Coming forward.
Now, all of the data now, and they anticipate that that report will be ready to come forward in October.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you.
And clarifying, will that come through the performance committee first?
Performance committee first, then full board.
All right. Trustee Dupree?
Yeah, so I was curious as to when we would look at our discipline data, our discipline rate here. So that was one of the things. That was, I don't know what has to that was ever.
You know, there was a presentation amongst all the budget presentations and everything that we were dealing with that dealt with the lawsuit with the social media companies.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd really like for us to talk about if that is something, because I know one of the things that they said was that, you know, the earlier you're involved in that, and it's not a class action, it's
That
whatever
is so ironic.
Were you thinking the same thing?
Someone reached out to me about that this morning.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
Because I'm thinking, well, they said you get lesser of the award
Yes.
the later you join the group.
Right.
And I would just like us to hear about the pros, the cons, of what's it going to do to staff. You know, is it going to, because if it has an impact on staff, what does that mean? Is it worth doing because it could be a good, you know, we may end up with an award that would help the budget. I just don't know enough, but we sort of just dropped it because everything else was a priority. And we know the damage all that's doing to our kids. We all have such personal experience with this, I'm sure.
That's just so random.
Yeah, that nobody called me. It just popped into my head.
Trustee Carrier?
I'll decline to comment.
Okay. All right. There's nothing further. I still have those things carried over from past meetings also, so they're not lost. If there's nothing else, then we'll move down to number 13. Items from the board. Do trustees have anything they would like to share? I saw three hands at the same time. Let's start with Trustee Basket and work our way down.
Thank you. Well, first of all, I would like to acknowledge our Haikoni sister city in Japan having their 55th year celebration last Sunday. It was an honor to be there. I think I probably was the only one from a school district. At least that was acknowledged. But it was nice that they acknowledged our relationship when our group of educators went to Japan. And again, had some sharings of information, but congratulations on 55 years of celebrating Haikoni, and they acknowledged our 200th birthday. It was very special, and I want to say thank you for the invitation. Secondly, excuse me, want to remind trustees that the behind the scenes a half-day event that is sponsored by the Michigan Association of School Boards, again, is a day when we can bring even our neighbors or whoever to come to the Capitol, learn how the work gets done. This year, they've got a conversation scheduled with Senate Majority Leader Winnie Brinks to talk again. We can express to them directly, this is what the impact of the cuts and anything we want to discuss with her, as well as other districts that come from across the state. One of the sessions, bit of the time that they're going to dedicate to this is how to access federal dollars.
Right.
And of course, every district should be looking at how to get more money. So that is September 18th, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. in Lansing. There's still time to sign up. Please let Superintendent Parks know, and you can work with Ms. Osinski to get you signed up. Secondly, and equally as important, is October 14th, the Michigan Association of School Boards is holding what they call a legislative priority setting meeting for districts in Region 7. Again, that is to tell them what is on our mind as school board members regarding the priority. We want the legislators to, again, hear from us on which particular topics and areas that we want the MASB lobbyists to work on. That will be in Howell. And again, I know that's a little bit of a travel, but in the past, Howell board members have come to Ann Arbor and Ypsilanti. But that is October 14th, 7 to 8:30. Please let them know that you're coming. If you can't come, at least tell them what's on your mind in terms of what do we want MASB to work on to help to, again, prioritize the work that has to be done on our behalf. So thank you.
Trustee Schmidt and Trustee Carroll.
I love that you brought that legislative priority setting meeting up because MASB has been in opposition of legislation that would benefit children across the state in the area of literacy. And I want to connect that to something great that's going on in here in Ann Arbor. So I mentioned it before, but I want to tell you a little bit more about it. Before school started, there were 28 teachers, along with people that were in the Grow Your Own program, some speech and language pathologists, that took the training for Wharton Gillingham, which is a structured literacy program that is through the Michigan Dyslexia Institute and helps these people, helps our staff know how to work with children and teach them to read, especially those that struggle the most with decoding and word recognition. I talked to the person that was very instrumental in getting that done. We used state money, so there was no expense to the district and no substitutes were needed during the summer. And I asked her how that went, what kind of response she had. And she said that people came up to her afterwards. I want to mention two of them. One said, "This is the best professional development I've ever had since I've been in Ann Arbor." And another said she thought it was the best she has had in her career, which I would have to concur with that, having taken that training. The exciting thing is the woman, the fellow of the Orton Academy from the Michigan Dyslexia Institute had a cancellation, and they have another cohort that will be trained starting next week. This time it's 40 people, and just a real mixture of people. Teachers, resource teachers, SLPs. I can't remember all the different categories, but it really shows that our district is trying to make some moves in addressing the difficulties with literacy for some of our children. So I will be at the MASB meeting suggesting that they look at it as a priority to support things and legislation that will make, it won't be just that if you're lucky enough to be in a school where they're going to train teachers and get the right curriculum, but that all children across our state have a chance at having good literacy instruction. So thank you for that, and that's all I have to share.
Thank you, Trustee Smith. Trustee Carroll?
Yeah, just two items, two shouts out really. One is to Tim Wilson from Washtenaw Promise. Washtenaw Promise hosted this past Saturday at Fireman's Park in Ypsilanti their 4th annual community block party. It was represented by a lot of literacy groups, and the community came out. Kids could get some free items for school as they get back to school in probably one of the most vulnerable neighborhoods in our county. So his team did a lot of great work over there, and that's basically a literacy initiative group. So they're doing a lot of great work. So I just wanted to give him a shout out. Also want to give a shout out to, on Sunday, NAMI, the National Alliance for Mental Illness, held their first NAMI walk in Ann Arbor on North Campus. It was a pretty well attended, a brisk Sunday morning. One of the speakers was Felicia Braybeck. I was thankful she was there. She's been a supporter of mental health supports for a long time. I was able to, it was like a 2.5 mile walk. I was able to walk for about a mile of it, and we caught up on a lot of education talk, so that was great. But I know that she's been a great supporter of that. And everybody, NAMI locally, I think they even had folks from Livingston County, Washtenaw County Community Health. So it was a very focused group, and they just put on a great event, and that was their first one. Their target goal was to raise $25,000, and Ann Arbor really stepped up. They doubled that, and they raised $50,000. So they did a really great job, all for mental health supports, and so just a shout out to them, who the organizers and everyone there who helped make that event happen. Thanks.
Thank you, Trustee Carroll. Anything else? All right.
I move that we adjourn the meeting this evening.
Yay.
Moved by Trustee Schmidt. Is there support?
Second.
Supported by Trustee Dupree. All in favor?
Yay.
Any
Aye. Yes.
Any opposed? Meeting adjourned at 10:32 p.m.